Everybody get up! Everybody needs to understand that I'm more than simply a hype man for this rap group, just like Geico is more than just a company that can save you money. Geico also has fast and friendly claim service, so they can help you when you need it most. And while I do love being a hype man, I also love reading for children's audiobooks. Like Little Bo Peep, she lost the sheep, and she don't know where to find them. Yo!
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event. Are you ready?
Oh, yeah!
And now, coming to you live from the .biz radio network on ProWrestling.biz and presented by Wrestling-News.net, it's Main Event Madness. Madness Unleashed. We are your reaction show, so call 914-803-4532 and use the hashtag MEMLive on Twitter to connect with us during the show. And now, here are your hosts for tonight's show, John Curry, Mark Madison, and Mike Holland.
From the fire, the burn inside, you feel me? I fight the tail like I can't break. The voices break, the enemy takes over everything. If there's a madness in me, the madness in me. Just one chance is all it takes.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Main Event Madness Radio, your reaction show here live on the ProWrestling.biz radio network, blogtalkradio.com/ProWrestling.biz. We thank everybody to take their time out, or who took their time out, I should say, for us today. We really appreciate it. We are live immediately following, right off tonight's 2017 WWE Fastlane event, and it's not a good one. I'm sure there's several people backstage at WWE who are very happy and very thrilled with tonight's pay-per-view in the event. Kind of speechless. I know that's the wrong reaction to have. On a show like this, but just shocked. Not one, but two. You could argue even three pointless losses here tonight at Fastlane, and I don't know. I don't know really. I mean, obviously, mad about the main event. I don't know which one that I'm more mad about besides that, whether it's Roman Reigns beating Braun Strowman, the undefeated Braun Strowman that they just had to add for this feud, that tagline, and Charlotte Flair, her loss to Bayley tonight. Very happy that they decided not to go the hot potato route with the women's championship. That's definitely been like the theme of the last 6 months or so, that the WWE wants to play hot potato, and nonetheless they didn't continue that trend. But you build up this undefeated streak on pay-per-view, and you have that's the way that you end it. And we're going to get into this a little bit more over the next probably 45 minutes to an hour or so. Awaiting my co-hosts for the evening, or at least my co-host for the evening, Mike Holland from TJWrestling.net. Sadly, Brandon Lasher and Mark Madison couldn't make it this evening, but nonetheless, it wasn't a card and it wasn't a pay-per-view without any good matches. I don't want to say that because that would be a lie. The Cruiserweight title match was fantastic between Neville and Jack Gallagher. It was a great match. My problem with tonight and my problem with just seeing some comments from people on Facebook, which if you guys want to comment on the pay-per-view, of course, facebook.com/main-event-madness if you guys want to hit us up. Also on Twitter, hashtag MEM Live on Twitter. And if you guys want to call in, like I said at the top of the broadcast, this is your reaction show. We want to hear from you. 914-803-4532. That's 914-803-4532. And people are very, very pissed off at a lot of these finishes. A lot of fan favorites thrown to the wayside tonight. And I know with a lot of people are big fans of Braun Strowman, and I haven't necessarily been the biggest fan of his to the moment, but I definitely do sympathize with them versus Roman Reigns beating them. And again, I'm gonna give it a little bit more thought with that, especially when Mike Collins joins me momentarily. But meanwhile, I was mentioning that the pay-per-view didn't go without good matches, and as I mentioned, the Cruiserweight title between Neville and Jack Gallagher, that was a vicious suplex from Neville to Gallagher, as well as that red arrow, the almost handstand afterwards. And just a really good showing from the talents who haven't really had a chance to really showcase like that. I'm glad that they got more time than they normally do. On 205 Live to really showcase what they do. And I'm just looking at the match results here, and it's kind of sad. Just the times on these is kind of weird, especially if you guys watch the pay-per-view, you guys noticed they blew through the card very quickly. And even the first four matches on the main, or four of the first 5 matches on the main card tonight, 8 minutes 40 seconds, 8 minutes 15 seconds, 8 minutes 20 seconds, 8 minutes 45 seconds. They blew through the card tonight. I do have a caller. I believe this is Evan Ginsberg, if I'm not mistaken. Hello?
Hey, how are you? It's Evan. How's everything?
I figured that was you. That area code looked familiar. I'm not happy. I've spent the last about 10 minutes giving some quick reaction to tonight's pay-per-view. Wholeheartedly agree with your post.
It was
Raw. I am not.
Yeah.
There were 3 losses tonight. Obviously, first and foremost, without a shadow of a doubt, without a question, the one that pissed me off the most, as a lot of people are blowing up social media with this. And again, if you guys want to call in or give us your opinion, 914-803-4532. That's 914-803-4532. Hashtag MEM Live on Twitter. Facebook.com/main-event-madness. I'm not even going to get started yet on Goldberg. I'm not even going to get started on that one yet. But they added the tagline for this match only, the undefeated Braun Strowman, to have him fed to Roman Reigns. And then Charlotte, they hype up this pay-per-view undefeated streak. And that's how they end it. And I mean, don't get me wrong, and I did want to. There was some positive from the pay-per-view, very little, but there was some positive, and that was the Cruiserweight Championship match between Neville and Jack Gallagher. That was a fantastic match. I'm not happy with the finish of the match, but the women's championship match was a good match, and the fact that they went 16 minutes and 55 seconds, looking at the time really quick, that was the main event of the evening. But the timing was horrible, absolutely horrendous for the pay-per-view. And I believe Mike Holland is with us also. But when your announcer, your play-by-play guy for the show, you listen to Al Michaels or Joe Buck or I can't think of his name from CBS, but football announcers is where I'm going with this. If you get Marathon Game, or even Joe Buck's a good one for baseball, when you get an extra inning game, he never sounds as winded and exhausted and as worn out as Michael Cole sounded going into that main event match, and even the women's championship match. And if your announcer is getting winded because he had to call 4 hours of a show, what does that tell you? For a Raw-only pay-per-view, what does that tell you? It's too much. SmackDown pay-per-views are always better than Raw. Maybe not always, but at least this incarnation of the brand split, they know how to use the talent. Unless your name's Apollo Crews and Kalisto, they know how to use their talent. They know how to do the timing. And tonight, it was a mess. And on that note, I am going to bring on Mike Holland, one of my co-hosts that you can hear with me each and every week. He is a writer for TGIWrestling.net as well. All right, brain fart. He's a writer for TGIWrestling.net. I'm sorry, I got so flustered with this Fastlane pay-per-view. Mike, how are you, man?
I'm good, John. How you doing?
I'm pissed off.
Well, I cannot blame you on that one.
And we got Evan with us, Mike, and I mentioned at the top of the show, I kind of gave like a little monologue to it. You know, the Cruiserweight title match was good. The women's wrestling was good. The finish was horrendous. But I'm going to throw it to Evan for a second, because I have a feeling Evan is chomping at the bit to say something.
You sound more upset than me, actually. I expect mediocrity, and that's exactly what I got tonight, with the exception of Neville and Jack Gallagher, which I thought was very good. That was basically a glorified Raw, and
that's being generous.
Yeah, there was really nothing, that I'm going to remember a week from now, let alone 10, 20, 30 years from now. And the WWE's predictable booking made what should have been something special in a title loss in the quote-unquote main event mean virtually nothing. It was totally expected. And Owens, who's a young guy on the way up, to lose to a 52-year-old guy is almost absurd. Almost absurd.
Mike, any thoughts?
Let me check my notes, John. Oh, wait, I don't have any notes because I fell asleep on them with how boring this pay-per-view was.
I slept a little myself.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Like, I guess if this, I tweeted out that I thought all of the ads for Tap Out were good because I wanted to submit about halfway through the show. It was to say, I think Evan called it correctly. Expectations going into this were low anyway because we can read the tea leaves. You don't have to be Nostradamus to figure out what they're trying to do with Goldberg especially. So, that being said, I thought it was below average. And I agree about the Raw thing. I think that especially when they got to the middle, the unannounced matches, the backstage segments, it felt like something they came up with on the cuff, and I felt like it was bad 90s booking almost instead of, what we've known to expect. I don't mind if the guys I like are champions or not, but I do think that you need to pay attention to how the characters are developed. And I would just add that, we've known for a long time that WWE doesn't pay attention to good guys and bad guys anymore. That's fine. But a lot of this stuff just doesn't make sense. They don't know what they're doing with the Sasha Banks character. They don't know what they're doing with Owens as a champion. And they just make the person look bad, trying to make somebody else, the thing of the moment look good. And I just think that's a little sloppy, even for them. I would just like to see some more, consistent storytelling. And if they're not going to give us great product, at least tell a great story. I don't know that we got that tonight. I think we got, to back up Evan's point, largely mediocre.
Well, there's a lot of points I want to hit on. One of which is the return of Chris Jericho. Sorry, there's a lot of points I want to get to. I was trying to think which one I want to go to first. The return of Chris Jericho would have meant so much more if it was on tomorrow night instead of tonight. And I get what they hold is with Paul Heyman showing up there. And, oh, my God, everybody's going to tune in and see the main event and hope for Brock Lesnar. But we're going to give them Chris Jericho instead because we know what they really want. Said no one ever. Just like, it means nothing. I told a buddy of mine that was here with me watching the pay-per-view. My tweet meant nothing. I sent one to Vince McMahon. I'm like, listen to the crowd tonight. Listen to last week's crowd. Listen to tomorrow night's crowd. That's totally giving us what we want. That was 15,000 people cheering for Braun Strowman, who they had no idea who the hell he was before, 6 months ago? And it just blows my mind how much they're trying so hard to make him out to be the next John Cena, and how they're all trying to convince everybody that it was a shock that he beat Braun Strowman, and it's a shock. And anybody who thought that Roman Reigns was going to lose, and nobody on the face of the earth thought Roman Reigns was going to lose that match. And it's like the face John, he had, huh?
By the way, they said the same thing about Goldberg at the end of the show. It was like, oh, can you believe that Goldberg actually won that? Well, yeah, because all the guy does is show up and win in 2 minutes. So I'm pretty sure everybody, including Vegas, your Aunt Millie, and your pet cockatoo, knew that Goldberg was going to beat Kevin Owens in about 10 seconds. So, acting so surprised is silly.
You know who's going to be pissed off right now? Stone Cold Steve Austin. If he knew he could come back and win the WWE title in freaking 2 minutes, wrestling 2 minutes twice a year, shit, he would have been back 10 years ago.
Well, he would tell you that himself on his podcast, but of course WWE doesn't, want to have actually listenable material on the network, so.
It just, and it's a very rare scene when I'm more pissed off than Evan is.
I agree.
But it blows my mind to convince McMahon, do the one favor. If you're not going to stop shoving Roman Reigns down everybody's throat, if you're not going to stop pushing Goldberg like it's 1997, and it's a great idea because it was totally a good idea then, and I'm probably ruining the hopes of ever getting Goldberg on the show, but I don't really care right now. For the love of God, can you stop touching Enzo's promos, please? What the hell was that? I've seen pile-ups on highways that look better than that promo. And it's just...
I would say to you that I think that they have told Enzo that he can go out and say whatever he wants, and normally that works out pretty well when you get to that level, but it was a rough night. I mean, it was a rough night for a lot of people. And I will say one other thing, by the way. I do agree with you about the length of the women's match, but let's be fair. By their standards, it was not as good as many of the other ones we've seen. And they botched a couple. I mean, especially Bailey. It was rough. So, I mean, like, the crowd, you know, and just the way that match was booked, to your point at the end. So I give them credit for it. And I agree with Evan. I thought the, you know, obviously we knew the Neville, Conan O'Brien, Jack Gallagher match was going to be good. As I struggle to try to say Gallagher every time. But that was a great match. And the cruiserweights, who WWE doesn't care about, had the best match of the night in a 3-hour show, not including the pre-show. So to your point about getting your head out of your you-know-where, why don't you start with that?
Pretty much. So I think what we're going to do here really quick, guys, if I'm not cutting anybody off at the moment. All right, I took a deep breath. We're going to hit a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to dive into this pay-per-view a little bit more, give some more in-depth thoughts. I'm going to try to be positive. Not promising anything.
Take your meds, John.
I actually did for my sinus infection about an hour.
Good job.
That's 4 doses in a row. I'm really proud of myself. Usually I forget by now. I'm not making that one up either. So we're going to hit a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about Fastlane, and I have an announcement regarding the show coming up in the next probably couple of weeks here on the show. A little bit of an exciting announcement, as well as I need to get a hold of Evan Ginsberg, and I'm going to talk to him about that after the show in about 2 weeks. So I'm going to want to, Evan, I'm giving you a heads up. We're going to have a little chat after the show.
Okay.
So I'm hoping this is going to be one of your later nights, because it's going to be about after a half-hour drive. But nonetheless, I'm getting carried away. We're going to have a commercial break. We're going to talk some Fastlane. I got an announcement about regarding the show in the next couple of weeks, and a little bit more. And we're going to give Ginsberg's gab. Not that I haven't done my I hope I've done you proud tonight, Evan.
Yeah, I like the hate. The hate is a beautiful thing. Yeah.
Let the hate flow through you.
There you go.
But nonetheless, guys, we'll be back right after these words with more reactions to tonight's WWE Fastlane pay-per-view. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back right after these words.
All right. Wrestling podcasts are a dime a dozen these days. But you want a show that you can feel is yours, and a show you can react on and react with. Well, ask and you shall receive. Main Event Madness is now your reaction show, as we're live after every pay-per-view at 11:30 p.m. Eastern. BlogTalkRadio.com/ProWrestling.biz and Wrestling-News.net are the places to be, as we have new episodes every Sunday. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Main Event Madness. Madness Unleashed, a ProWrestling.biz radio network production. We here at Main Event Madness pride ourselves on being able to connect with all of you during the show and, more importantly, after the show. And you want more ways to do it? No problem. Facebook.com/Main Event Madness is the official Facebook page of Main Event Madness, and it's loaded with columns, news, opinions, as well as upcoming guests, showtimes, and more. Check us out and give us a like today. Facebook.com/Main Event Madness. So you're a wrestling fan, and you want news, and you love hearing about different shows. No problem. Wrestling-News.net has you covered with news on all of your favorite promotions, including exclusives you won't find anywhere else. Also, Wayne Daly has you covered with results from shows almost anywhere in the globe. Check them out today. Wrestling-News.net.
CrewRoundtable.com is the place to find discussion and analysis on all the hot news topics taking place in the Greater Toronto Area. Join CrewRoundtable.com for fun and entertaining talk on news, current events, and listener-suggested topics. Unlike mainstream media, CrewRoundtable.com gives you all sides to the story so you can make up your own mind. Visit CrewRoundtable.com.
Oh, mama, I'm in fear
for my life from the long arm of the Lord. Lord, man is putting into my running, and I'm so far from my home. Oh, mama, I can hear you crying, you're so scared and all alone. Hangman is coming down from the gallows, and I don't have very long. They take it up and use it now, they finally found me. The renegade who had it made, retreat for a bounty. Never more to go astray. This will be the end today of the wanted man. Oh, mama, I've been given around me.
Welcome to Territory Pro Wrestling Podcast. Pro Wrestling Present. The language of songs at the Mandalay Center. Welcome to Territory Drop. Thursday show comes off the weekly live from top 5 to 7. The Sunday show drops every Sunday night. It's completely dedicated to watching each and every episode of Jim Cornette, Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Subscribe on iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, Podcast Edit, or wherever you get podcasts from. MikeMills.com, MikeMills.podbean.com. You can find all shows post for Pacific Territory. I apologize about that, guys. Still a little bit worked up. That is Pacific Territory podcast every Sunday and Thursday. MikeMills.podbean.com. iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, Podcast Edit. Check them out on Facebook, Facebook.com/Pacific Territory _podcast. Like them, follow them, help support a friend. A great show every Sunday and Thursday. If you guys like the song that's playing right now, head over to Spotify or iTunes. Check out Brand Shallow Side, Renegade. Check out, like I said, YouTube, Spotify, and iTunes. They're out, I believe, on the tour path now. That is Renegade by Brand Shallow Side. The rock music to get me a little bit either fired up or calmed down, depending on the conversation. But we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Main Event Madness, Backlane Pay-Per-View Reaction Show. We thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. We really appreciate it, wherever you guys are listening from. I am joined tonight by Mike Holland of TJRWrestling.net, one of my weekly co-hosts here with me each and every week. Unfortunately, Brandon Lasher and Mark Madison were unable to join us tonight, and filling in their absence is the one, the only, the incomparable associate producer of the Oscar-nominated film The Wrestler, Evan Ginsberg. At least I didn't fuck that one up. All right. So, Fastlane. I mentioned before the commercial break, I was going to try to be nice. Emphasis on try. So Rich Swann and Akira Tozawa and Brian Kendrick, Noam Dar, tag team match in the pre-show. I guess the romance angle with Rich Swann is over with. I'm sure Vince Russo would have been very proud of the way that they quote-unquote swerved everybody with that one. Always happy when I get to see Rich Swann and Akira Tozawa. Wow, if I can not fuck up somebody's name today, that'd be great. Rich Swann, Akira Tozawa, Noam Dar, the Brian Kendrick. All right, the nostalgia factor of him kind of wore off. He's kind of just, generic cruiserweight at this point. They haven't really done with anything with him since. But the other three guys, they all got good looks. They're all good wrestlers. Like to see them in the ring. But my buddy Mike that was here brought up a good point. And I want to get your opinion, Mike. Sami Zayn was knocked out by Samoa Joe. When was the last time they did like a 3 count with the arm? Like where they pick the arm off, drop, and it actually added a little bit of drama to it. Like, oh, is he actually knocked out now? Oh, look at that, he's spitting. Oh, good, he's knocked out.
That's a fair point, although they never would get to 3, so he wouldn't have been knocked out if they did it that way.
What a tale tonight, though. internet favorites screwed by internet favorites. I mean, if you look up and down the card, Samoa Joe beat Sami Zayn. Internet favorite, internet favorite. Gallows and Anderson, Enzo and Cass, both internet favorites. Sasha Banks and Nia Jax. Well, maybe not Nia Jax and Sasha Banks. Nobody's really surprised by that. Cesaro and Jinder Mahal, same difference. Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman is starting to become a little bit of an internet favorite. Screwed over. Kevin Owens, screwed over. I mean, I get what they're doing, I think, because it looks like they're going for this whole corporation, evolution, pseudo-hybrid faction, probably with Charlotte, Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe, and Triple H, and Stephanie McMahon, another authority, because that's what we need. There's another 3 years of this tired act. Wow, Evan, you should be proud of me.
The problem with Sami Zayn is he's kind of the modern day Dominic DeNucci, where he's like the game loser, where there's zero suspense. You're watching the match. He's always good, and you're 100% sure that his shoulders are going to be pinned to the mat because Samoa Joe's getting the push. And so any near pinfall is not suspenseful because you know exactly what's going to happen. And, you know, the booking is so predictable, so incredibly predictable throughout the show that it's almost not even worth watching. You know, the only thing I really could say I thoroughly enjoyed was the Neville match.
Agreed, and it's like you said to me off air, Evan. It's almost like they pride themselves on being this predictable.
Yeah, they know everything is built around WrestleMania, and you know who's being pushed and who isn't, and that's that. And you know, if there's no suspense, then it's kind of pointless. And I'm just resigned to it. You sound angry. I'm just like numb from the whole thing. It's you almost reach a point where you go, it's not even worth getting upset over.
It's more just a little bit happiness that I'm not at this WrestleMania, like it was going to be a year ago when they announced that Orlando was going to have WrestleMania, and I was going to be in Florida in a week. But what a cluster of a WrestleMania. Like, how, with this roster, I swear to God, I am regurgitating what Evan said for years now. How with this roster, can Goldberg and Lesnar too, at least WrestleMania-wise, Goldberg, Lesnar, what is it, 3?
Yes.
For the World Championship, universe, whatever the hell, same difference, realistically.
Yeah, the Guardians of the Galaxy Championship, we know.
Yes, exactly. I would rather have Batista.
Well, here's the thing, John. I mean, again, I defer to Evan, and rightly so, in matters of wrestling history. But I would say this: if you look in the history of professional wrestling, it's always part of it has always been the carnival. Part of it has always been the strong man, the giant. That's always been part of what wrestling is about, and I think a good thing. I think that's one of the things that makes it an interesting entertainment versus a lot of what's out there, is there's something for everybody. And WrestleMania should be something for everybody because that's trying to incorporate the casual fan plus the three of us. It's trying to give somebody a little something of everything. So I would be less concerned for WrestleMania because even if, Lesnar and Goldberg do their predictable match, Snorfest, and whatever, you're going to get Owens and Jericho for the United States title. You're going to get probably a great cruiserweight match that's going to have multiple competitors. You may get some of the guys that we didn't see tonight, like Rollins or Baylor. So you're going to have things that you can hang your hat on and say, well, that was okay, but at least there was this. My issue, launching off of what you said for Sami Zayn, forget about the fact that much like Cesaro, his booking has become a humor interest point in the show. I mean, the show now consists of people being like, oh, I don't want to get pushed like that Cesaro, while they smoke a cigar in the back room. So, but in addition to that, in the match itself with Sami and Samoa Joe, the thing on Sami Zayn is, like you guys said, he comes back from all odds. He takes all this incredible punishment, and that's fine. That's a story that makes sense. But when anything that he does offensively is met with very little reaction, and when a single punch from Samoa Joe or a chop can make Sami sell like he fell off a skyscraper, we have missed the point of telling the story. And to Evan's point, it's more about Joe is great than it is about, hey, Sami fought him with every bit that he could, but he just couldn't overcome, how good this guy is. There's a way to make both guys look very good. And I think, hidden in the point that you're making about the roster and the internet people that fans of the internet like, if you like wrestling and these are people that you appreciate watching, you want to feel like they have some kind of competitive ability. And when you take that away and you make it a one-sided, basically squash match, then at that point you're kind of removing the emotional attachment that we would have. So I'm okay with the bigger guys winning. I'm okay with Vince still being convinced that some of the stuff that worked in the 1900s is still going to work in, 2017. But I'm not okay with taking really good workers and making the product bad through the creative. That's the mistake. Because these guys can go. They can go.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm going to sound really
No, you're good.
The last time that this Ultimate Underdog as character worked was Rey Mysterio. You want to know why it worked for Rey Mysterio? Because Rey Mysterio had Eddie Guerrero's fans behind him. I'm not saying that in a bad way. The unfortunate passing of Eddie Guerrero, but they naturally, and fortunately for Rey, and fortunately for the WWE, gravitated to Rey Mysterio. And Rey at his core was a fan, as we all were, of Eddie Guerrero. And they saw themselves in Rey. Do they see themselves in Sami Zayn? Maybe some people. But realistically, he's on the path, as much as people adore him, he's on the path to going in a match one-on-one with Roman Reigns and the crowd chanting, "Thank you, Roman." Just like Apollo Crews and Kalisto had.
Well, one thing I would say about Rey Mysterio is that he's the ultimate underdog because of the size of the wrestler. I mean, one thing that WWE did effectively with Mysterio was, like, in booking him in the Royal Rumble, they gave him opportunities to shine, not, kind of highlighting the fact that you wouldn't expect a guy of that size to be able to compete with the other people in the ring. That makes sense. What Sami needs, and the three of us, I think, are all united in this, is like they teased, because that's how they like to mess with the internet fans. He needs to be moved to SmackDown, because if you simply move him to another brand, he instantly becomes a title contender. People forget all about the crap that you did to him before, and you have the whole angle of, they never gave me an opportunity, but I'm getting it now. This whole thing is like, go ahead, Evan.
Or now that Strowman is not this undefeated monster, you let Sami Zayn pin Strowman, and all of a sudden it's David versus Goliath, and that always goes over well.
So let's look ahead, and we'll touch a little bit more on Fastlane before we get ready to wrap up in a little bit. But let's look ahead to WrestleMania, and you can almost pinpoint this, which I guess is the point of behind this. But so Braun Strowman is going to win the Andre Battle Royal.
No, Braun
He's
Strowman
going to
is
last
win
eliminate Big Show, and it's going to
he's
be
gonna
their...
win.
Huh?
Sorry, John. Wait a minute. You have to make a correction. He's going to win the Braun Strowman Battle Royal.
That's the only place I see him fitting in. They're going to have... I don't even see Sami Zayn on the WrestleMania card.
Oh, come on. He'll be on the card. It's going to be 5 hours long.
He'll be on a pre-show match somewhere. He's
Well,
going to be...
okay. Yeah.
It'll be some 6-man Enzo... Or no, Enzo and Cass will be with the I'm sorry, Gallows and Anderson. I'm looking up the Raw roster right now because I can tell you, I bet you, what.
Yeah, that'll be a rematch, and if they add a third team, they might throw Sheamus Cesaro in there just for fun. But that'll be a rematch.
Wow, they wasted no time getting Goldberg up there as the Universal Champion. Boy, we weren't happy about that one. Let's see. I'm just looking at the roster. All right, so I could see it being. You know what? I'll even say Sami Zayn, Sami Zayn, Cesaro, and Sheamus again. I'm just looking quick who I could. You know what? The way he's going, Jinder Mahal and the Shining Stars.
John, please stop.
I'm just saying, does that not? That's not out of the realm of possibility. No, and that's going to be some 6-man, humongous. Michael Cole is going to do his damnedest like a used car salesman to tell you on how great that match is going to be, and that'll be his match. And it's a far cry and a mountain fall of where he was a year ago, and that's the sad part.
Well,
so
can I ask you? Don't you think that, because I kind of felt like tonight they were setting it up. If we assume Thank Big Show disaster is not going to happen, then don't we assume that Strowman is going to just go into a rematch with Big Show? I mean,
I'd be okay with that. But then who wins the Andre Battle Royal to do it this year?
Baron Corbin again. No, they have Sami Zayn win that. John, you hit the nail on the head. Sami Zayn wins the Andre the Giant.
I can see it.
And then just as the last 2 times, nothing really comes of that. So, he can have that one.
SmackDown could have Sami Zayn, Cesaro, Sasha Banks. I'm looking Finn Balor because I'm horrified of what they're going to do to him, and just give John Cena. That's a fair trade.
Well,
Throw
the
Nikki
last thing
Bella
Raw
in there
needs
for their little total diva. But it's just not very optimistic. It's going to be nice to see Baron Corbin win the Intercontinental title. John Cena will beat Miz and Maurice because. And do we have any other predictions?
Well, there's still the sad rumor of AJ Styles and Shane McMahon, which appears to be on its way to reality.
Can I just say something about that very quickly?
Can it be a Punjabi prison match?
I think it's outrageous that once a year Triple H and Shane McMahon show up to make more money in one day than the 205 guys make the entire year. It's so typical of this ruthless corporation. It's appalling. And they have one of the greatest talent rosters in the history of pro wrestling. And if I booked WrestleMania, I would have Chris Jericho and Owens. That makes sense. But I would have AJ Styles and Nakamura, just like at Wrestle Kingdom, put on a Ricky Steamboat and Randy Savage level match, which is what they should be doing instead of the circus that it's inevitably going to be. And I mean, how is Lesnar and how is Lesnar and Goldberg possibly going to work if Goldberg's not going to win 3 straight against Lesnar? They're going to have to actually have a match. And the one time they did have a match, it was horrible. So I don't see that as a headlining WrestleMania match. The guy's 52 years old, and I don't get it.
They could they could make everybody happy, and they could put Roman Reigns and The Undertaker in this match and make it a fatal 4-way. And then Roman Reigns can beat Goldberg, Lesnar, and Undertaker in one match.
Well, the only way that would make people happy is if it truly was a fatal 4-way and some of the competitors didn't make it out of the ring. But
Goldberg, we're looking at you.
Well, listen, they're getting up there. They got to make sure that, But I want to back up on something that Evan said, because first of all, I totally agree about Shane and Undertaker. And look, I mean, if they want to be there and they want to wrestle each other, that's fine. But the other problem, in addition to the payoff, and so the McMahons get paid twice if they wrestle because they also get the stock option. But my point is they also take some great talent and they wrestle. They steal them off the card. So we're going to have Triple H, who is certainly capable of putting on a good match. And again, like you said, the Rollins storyline makes sense. But I find it funny that some of these guys that we would really like to see wrestling each other, they're good enough to work with, the part-timers, but to actually go and put them in a match against each other that people would enjoy. I mean, to your point about the Steamboat thing, the best thing about it is if you have Nakamura and AJ Styles, they don't even need a title. It will mean something just because everyone in that building will know they're watching great wrestling. And if you want a comparison, you can look at when, to your thing, John, when Eddie Guerrero wrestled his series with Dean Malenko, those were great matches, and there didn't have to be a title on the line. Now, eventually there was when they redid it again in WCW, but they'd done it around the world by that point. And those two guys could wrestle each other so well. I mean, you could watch the same, variations of that match 20 times, and they would tell a great story within a story each time. And that's where I put Kimura, AJ Styles. These guys can work with anybody, and the shame of it is that WWE doesn't utilize their talent better to make WrestleMania more appealing to fans of, I don't know, wrestling?
Sports Entertainment Mania. Sports
my apologies.
Sports Entertainment.
That's good.
I mean, wouldn't it make sense that Bobby Roode on WrestleMania? He's one of the hottest acts under contract.
Sure would.
I mean, I don't even understand. It's just like they get an idea in their head, and that's the decision they've made, and they don't care if the fans like it or don't like it or whatever the case may be, and they just plow ahead. I mean, Reigns, who I happen to like, Reigns came out to a chorus of boos against a huge monster heel. I mean, at what point do you say this just isn't working? Let's turn the guy heel and or reunite the Shield or whatever works, because it's not working. But it's like, okay, I don't have to listen to what these smart marks say. That's kind of the attitude that they take. And for 2 years they're pushing the guy, and he's dying out there.
Evan, you're being nice. The fans were chanting, "Thank you, Strowman."
Wow.
They were chanting audibly, "Thank you, Strowman," to a guy that's never even been a face at all.
No.
Like he doesn't hug any babies. He doesn't even look like he's having a good time. He looks like he's a wildebeest, right? And they're saying, "Thank you, Strowman." because they're so horrified at the prospect of Roman Reigns winning another.
Not even that. They literally hate him.
They do.
23 and a half hours out of every day except today. And today they love him because he's against Roman Reigns. I'll tell you when it ends. Just before we get ready to end. See what I did there? It's when Roman Reigns respectfully and out of honor and dignity challenges The Undertaker at WrestleMania. And only then, when he defeats The Undertaker at WrestleMania and is only the second man in history to beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania, will Roman Reigns then be accepted by the WWE Universe.
He's still going to be booed all during that match.
Want to rinse I'm going to go rinse my mouth out because I tried really hard.
I think they'll boo him out of the building if he beats Undertaker.
If they don't boo him out of the building, I'll eat my hat.
Yeah. I mean, they'll be booing him all the way up to it. And so, to your guys' point, we've said it 100 times, and Evan, said it best. They're going to do what they want to do. And Vince is convinced that Roman should be the person that we all love because he thought of it. So you're either going to like it or, as Ric Flair said, you'll learn to love it.
And the thing with Reigns, who always gives 110% and generally has decent matches, but the thing is, when the face is fighting a monster heel, it's very awkward when the face makes the comeback and the fans are booing him. It just kills the whole rhythm of the match. It doesn't work whatsoever. And it's just they just plow ahead. This is their plan, and that's it. And it's very frustrating. And I don't know. I don't see it ever changing because I actually, on occasion, I watch some of the talk shows on WWE TV and on the WWE Network, and inevitably, when they talk about the Internet fans, they have disdain for them. They actually verbalize it, guys like JBL. What's that?
Triple H the most. He'll sit there and make promos about him all the time, or all about us, I should say.
Yeah, it's like
they're the people that are giving you hundreds of millions of dollars a year for your freaking network. But let's chastise them and let's berate them.
Well,
because...
and I would say one thing I would add to that is my favorite part is when they eventually do give you what you were asking for. They take so long in doing it that then they almost take credit for it. So one of my favorite things is, and Bradshaw Layfield is a good example of it. His whole character when they were doing the ECW, versus WWE thing, was that he thought that the ECW was horrible and all the wrestlers were terrible and they stink. And now anytime ECW comes up, he's like, oh, there was some great matches in ECW. Those guys really... And you're just like, at least be consistent.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a character. You're doing a product. It's okay. You don't have to like it. But the point is they like it, like you said, John, when they know they're going to sell it. And that, in my mind, is what happened here is, there's interest level in Goldberg by the casual fan. The people who even are not super into wrestling know who he is, or at least enough of what he does from the other things he's done, that like Lesnar, Vince loves to, especially at WrestleMania time, hook his chow wagon up to the thing that he thinks is going to get him the most media attention. And as much as the three of us may disagree, I will agree with him that the prospect of Lesnar and Goldberg is much more of a multimedia presentation than Kevin Owens against whoever. And that's just the sad state of affairs. It is a wrestling company. You would hope that he would get that the people that are going to the show are wrestling fans. But he's far more concerned with can you get on, Kathy Lee and can you get on the Today Show and whatever else than he is about what's going on in the ring.
But if my point of contention is that I'd rather see Nakamura and AJ Styles than Shane McMahon and AJ Styles, they shouldn't have disdain for you because you appreciate quality wrestling. That's kind of insulting if you're the paying customer year round, as opposed to the casual fan for WrestleMania.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And it's funny because they made a huge deal out of these guys coming over, which is totally appealing to the hardcore fan. I mean, really, the rise of NXT has been, as much due to what you're talking about, Evan, which is the people going to those shows are not the same people that are going to WrestleMania. Some of them are, but they, that is an in crowd that knows the business, and they want to appeal to them on the one hand, but they don't want you to get too comfortable because you got to move over when the celebrities roll in.
Nonetheless, guys.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that WrestleMania inevitably becomes just another pay-per-view as far as quality. You get your 2 or 3, worthwhile matches. Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho is going to be an excellent match, and whatever else works. If Rollins wrestles Triple H, I'm sure it'll be worth seeing. You get your 2 or 3 good matches like every other pay-per-view for the most part. And quality-wise, I don't think it's any better than any other show. I mean, I understand it's an event, it's a media, darling or whatever the case may be, but it's not all that it's cracked up to be ultimately.
So, on that note, I've had pretty much everything I can say tonight. However, I do want to give these two gentlemen a chance to say something they haven't been able to, and that's, Evan, do you have anything you would like to promote coming up?
I am starting a new show. It's called, the appropriately named, The Evan Ginsberg Show. It's going to be on VillageConnectionRadio.com. It's a televised radio show. And it's basically an art show, but we will have wrestling on it. And that's going to start April 2nd, every Sunday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at VillageConnectionRadio.com. And it's going to be shot in studio and streamed out on Facebook and YouTube, etc., so on. And I'll be sending out all the information very shortly.
Be sure to pass that along, Facebook.com/MainEventMadness, as well as on our Twitter page, at John MEM Radio, at DMark Madison, at Darman Rockwell, at WWBNRL, and of course at Evan_Ginsberg on Twitter. Now, Mike, you have anything you would like to let the masses know about?
I actually have two things. I wrote an article last week while we're on the topic of what is wrong with this year's WrestleMania, which was written before Fastlane, so I could probably do an addendum now and add about another 3 things. But I think it's an interesting take on kind of why maybe this year lacks compared to prior years, and that's on tjrwrestling.net. I've gotten a lot of feedback on that, and I've enjoyed it because I always like getting feedback on the writing and kind of finding out what people think and agree or disagree with. So I'd encourage people to check that out. And also in regards to that, I was fortunate enough this week, not that I'm cheating on Main Event Madness, of course, but I was on a second podcast in relation to that article, which was the High Spot podcast, which you can get on SoundCloud. And I was on that this week and was on for like a good 30, 40 minutes talking about the upcoming matches that we might be seeing and kind of the disillusionment that I think the general fan has with the product right now and some of the things that we've hit on tonight. So if you'd like a little more information on that and a little more in depth with that, of course, I always appreciate anybody checking it out. So I got those 2 things going on, and I'm sure that once I put the vomit bag down, I'll be able to type up something about Fastlane for the website this week.
Vomit bag.
I tweeted, and I kind of laughed at myself for doing it during the show. Not during our show, but during the pay-per-view. I tweeted Pepto-Bismol to please be the official sponsor of Monday Night Raw if Goldberg wins the Universal title. So now I am clamoring for Pepto-Bismol to please be the official sponsor of Monday Night Raw going forward.
Makes sense.
It does, for all the indigestion that we all got because of that. Now, having said that, I did hype an announcement, and that is we do have a couple of interviews coming up. One I will not get into yet. I have to talk to Evan Ginsberg about this now that I think I'll be able to secure a time, or at least a general time frame. Another one is former WWE superstar Manu will be joining us within the next couple of weeks with an exclusive interview, and I know we're going to have some more exciting announcements and potential exciting announcements coming in the next few weeks here in Main Event Madness. So we haven't been around as much. Schedules have been tough, but promise we have some fun and exciting things for you guys coming in the next few weeks. And on that note, guys, that is going to do it for Main Event Madness. Again, Manu, former WWE superstar, among other interviews coming in the next few weeks here for Main Event Madness. Very excited for what we're going to have for you guys. But definitely check us out on demand. We'll be on wrestling-news.net tomorrow. We are also on the Pro Wrestling.biz radio network, blogtalkradio.com/ProWrestling.biz. Of course, we're going to be on Pro Wrestling.biz pretty soon here. BreakingWrestlingNews.com is the actual web link for that. Of course, also Podbean, maineventmadness.podbean.com, our full archive, which is about 95% full. Work and family kind of cut into that one. Looking to get that complete here in the next week or two. So we have that as well. And on that note, guys, for Evan Ginsberg and Mike Holland, and unfortunately for Brendan Lasher and Mark Madison, who weren't able to join us tonight, we thank you for tuning into the Pro Wrestling.biz radio network, and we'll be back next week with an all-new episode. Until then, guys, be good, be safe, and Lord willing, you guys be able to come back here and hear us do this all over again. Till next time, guys, take it easy.
Daddy, where do babies come from?
Honey?
Mommy went to the store.
Oh, well, you see, there's a mommy and a daddy, right?
Right.
And see, when they call Geico, they could save a bunch of money on car insurance.
Oh, really? And that makes them happy?
Yes, that makes them very happy.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we could have this talk, Sunshine.
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.